Okay, good morning. The subject of today's quickie is going to be drilling barrels. So we're going to go through the tools, the tricks. There are many. There's some products that perhaps you hadn't thought of using as part of this process, and mostly it's just about making sure that you stay centered and can get things kind of more predictable. This one can be polished to be finished off. There's a step with glue that I think people just don't know about, so let's jump in. Hello there. So, love it or hate it, we're going to cover drilling barrels. Ones where you have to drill through twice, like this one, and just normal ones too. And I'll give you some tips for bigger ones. And then at the end, I'll give you one tip if you don't want to drill your barrels, but you want a quick alternative that works surprisingly well. There's a couple of little things in here, or tools, or pieces of equipment that maybe you wouldn't expect to be coming out. And I'll give you some advice about drill bit sizes and stuff like that as well. So let's get into it, because we want our marines to look pretty. So how do we tie a bow around the gun in the most important of ways? Right. First things first, we're going to start off using our hobby knife. Now, extremely importantly, if your hobby knife has snapped off at the tip, so is flat, you just can't use it for this. You would be better off using a pin or something like that, but it just needs to be something that comes to a very fine point, very predictably, and then also very predictably, I will be careful here, when you do this with it, it needs to be making something that's not like some weird shape or going off in a direction that you don't expect or can't control. So let's jump in and get going with the most important bit really, which is the pilot hole and the pilot hole placement. Okay, so very carefully, do this as close to your nose as possible. You get in and just try and place it in the very, very middle. So I like to place it kind of like, place it down like this and then pin up and then go. So I'm going to place it down. I had it perfect there, but then I spoke. Tip up. And so even though I thought I was right here, I think this one's going to be slightly skewed. What I'm going to do is the side that my blade's on, I'm going to put that towards the side that I want to be making bigger. So this is going to be good for an example because I'm going to start off ski whiff and we've got to fix it. Okay, so my hole is a little bit too much downwards. How we fix that now is I'm going to go in and the side that we want to expand, we're just gently gonna, in a few attempts, work our way up using the knife blade. Now, do this carefully and in several reps, and in each one you're just trying to make a little bit of difference until you've got it in what looks like the middle. Then when you start, if you're almost there but not quite, which is often the case, your blade side, put that on the side that needs expanding. So for me, my blade is pointing upwards because my hole was too far downwards, and I'm just twisting left and right. I'm not going all the way around. And what that's done is it's helped my hole work its way upwards now to a pretty central position. I think we are safe there. And go a little bit more with the knife, and then we'll use our first drill bit. And our first drill bit is going to be 0.08. It's not a 1. Now, something very common and one way to easily break your knife blades is if you only do like this and then you start doing that. When you turn for the first time, you're going to hit a kind of a step in the plastic, and that might snap the very fine tip of your knife blade. So the first time you turn it all the way around, so just be quite careful. I have some fluff. Okay. We're looking like we're going to be pretty good. Very last observation, you can push it and nudge it a few times. Okay, now I know that took a little while, but it's the most important bit, and I'm explaining myself and I can't multitask. So, 0.8 drill bit. Now, just make sure you get this angle straight. Don't do it side on where you can't kind of glean any information. Like judge whether that's straight, but then turn it 90 degrees and judge whether it's straight from this angle. And we're not in a rush here. This is a new bit, so it's hungry. It really wants to bite into it. So with absolutely minimal pressure, there we go. So we are good. Now, if you want, you can stop there, and when you paint, you put some black paint in it and you're done. What I'm going to do, however, is I'm going to go all the way through. And there's a reason for this. Now, because I want to be doing the side holes, which are easier than the front hole, I want to go all the way through. This has to be straight, so do your checks from one angle, turn it 90 degrees, do your checks from another angle. Pretty confident now, things are going to go fine. And we should see a little white bit appear in our little window that we have for the side holes. There we go. So you can see it's turning white. That's because we've gone all the way through. Right, and what we're going to do now is these ones, if you have the right size drill bit, which we do, these ones should pretty much kind of center themselves. Start very gently, minimal pressure, because the knife can bite and kind of go off in the wrong direction. I'm like just resting this. I'm twisting it, I'm not pushing it. And you can almost pull backwards with it as well. That'll stop it from kind of eating its way into things. See, that one's gone pretty much perfectly first time because 0.8 is the right size. And oh, I went all the way through. So that's how careful you have to be. Now, if you need to clean these out, I think they've gone pretty well, but you can work them a little bit from both sides. Now, from the front, we're going to take our larger drill bit. This is a 1, and we're just going to give ourselves a bevel. You can do this with your knife if you prefer, up to you. This one's older and more blunt, so I don't have to worry about it eating my gun. Quite so much. I knew this is gonna be a hard one, guys. Okay, final step. Scrub this off. Very careful scraping with a knife. And then what we're going to do is a little bit of Tamiya Extra Thin is going to come out on its brush applicator. Don't want too much. And you can just use that, and that'll ever so slightly soften the edge. Do it on the side ones if needed, but I quite like them natural and sharp how they come, as long as you've not knocked them. If you knock them, then you can do it on them. That is it. We have a perfectly drilled and beveled barrel. You can do this process twice if you've got a little bit of a burr around it, and of course you can sand it as well, but there you go. Barrels are done, and I only did one terrible euphemism that caused me to pause. At least I'm sure there was about 50 in there. Anyway, enjoy. Please give me some suggestions for the next quick tip video you would like to see from the channel. We're really pleased with how the first one went about removing iconography, and a lot of people were curious about this guy because his red was so crazy. So maybe I'll do red as a subject in a future one, just cover like how to make red work. So just quickly, now that that's fully dried, this is the next day. Carefully sand it with some sponge and it will be good to go. Fiddling with the inside of it until you're happy is something you've got to be careful of, because you don't want to go too far. And in fact, even close examination of the heavy metal team shows that they can't get it perfect. Even if they can get their edge out, it's perfect. So this stuff's hard. Once you've repeated it 10 times over a unit, if all of them are 3% off, it's not the end of the world. All right, so what if you don't want to drill your barrels, or you've forgotten one? I've had this before, you know, you just miss one out of a crew, maybe it's slightly pointing downwards or something like that, that's why it's been missed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix some very matte black, and it's really important that it's not pure black, so I'm gonna mix some dark brown, this chocolate, so it's important that it's not a pure black, I think it just kind of highlighting where people should look at your maybe mistake if that's the case. And then we're actually going to use a stick. All right, this is a toothpick. Well, you could clip it away. Let's hope we don't go too far. Insane clippers. Bit of water on the stick. All right, that should be better. There we go. Now when that's dried, that'll be matte, so it'll look a little bit flatter, and that'll be helpful. So yeah, it's slightly cheaty, but it's always an option. Then if you wish, and you highlight the top of the barrel, you can very carefully, probably with a brush smaller than a 5, final cheating coming up. We've got a section on this in our 10 rules video. It's about highlighting edges without having to highlight them. What we're going to try and do is we're going to try and put down a wash to suggest that there's an edge or a line that it's going between. Cheating time. Not too bad, not perfect, but pretty good. So it doesn't have to be modeling, could be like color related too. Thank you very much for joining. You can support us by buying our excellent brushes down below. And any questions you've got about what I said, if there was any gaps, or if you've got suggestions yourself, let me know below. I had a brilliant suggestion from a channel regular for just covering glues, and I think that is also a perfect kind of tone for these quick videos. So if you got something like that, you want me to cover clippers or anything, then let me know that below.